My name is Lucas, and for most of my life, I believed loyalty was unshakable. I grew up in a family where marriage was sacred, trust was oxygen, and betrayal was unthinkable. When I married Emily 10 years ago, I swore she was the center of my world. She was everything, soft-spoken, graceful, and strong in ways that made me proud to call her my wife. Together, we built a life that I thought was untouchable. But the truth is this: the people who smile the brightest are often the ones hiding the darkest shadows. And Emily was hiding something so vile, so destructive, that when it finally came out, it shattered every illusion I had about love, family, and loyalty. It all started slowly, like a poison drip that you don't notice until it's too late. Emily became distant. Not cold, not cruel, just elsewhere. Her eyes would wander when I spoke. Her laughter at my jokes became shorter, forced. She still played the role of the perfect wife, cooking dinner, asking about my day. But there was something behind her eyes that I couldn't name. I blamed myself at first. Work had been stressful. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. So I tried harder. Flowers on random Tuesdays, surprise weekend trips, breakfast in bed. She smiled, thanked me, even kissed me, but something in her touch felt rehearsed. And then came the nights. Emily started going to yoga classes after work, twice a week, sometimes 3. I didn't question it at first. She'd always been into fitness, and I wanted to support her hobbies. But soon those classes stretched later and later, until she was coming home near midnight, sweaty, but not in the way a workout leaves you, tired but glow in a way that made my stomach twist. Doubt ate at me. I told myself I was paranoid, that suspicion was poison. But the gut never lies, and mine was screaming. One night, when she claimed she was at yoga, I drove to the studio. I sat in my car, waiting, watching the entrance. Hours passed, and no sign of Emily. Midnight came and went. By 12:30, I saw her, laughing, walking out of a nearby hotel with a man. The world stopped. I froze behind the wheel, my breath catching in my throat. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, familiar in a way that made me sick. He kissed her cheek, whispered something in her ear, and she blushed, the kind of blush she hadn't shown me in years. And then my worst nightmare crystallized. It wasn't just any man. It was my best friend, Ryan, the same Ryan who had been my rock since childhood. The same Ryan who was my best man at our wedding. The same Ryan who knew my secrets, my fears, my victories. The brother I never had. And he was holding my wife like she was his. I drove home that night with hands shaking on the wheel, rage simmering under my skin like wildfire. But I didn't confront them. Not yet, because betrayal this deep doesn't deserve anger. It deserves annihilation. I began my game. Over the next weeks, I became the perfect husband again. I kissed Emily goodbye each morning, asked about her day, acted oblivious. I went on fishing trips with Ryan, drinking beers, laughing like nothing had changed. But behind the smiles, I was documenting everything. Photos of hotel visits, recordings of whispered phone calls, screenshots of late-night texts she carelessly left on her tablet. Every piece of evidence was a nail in their coffin, and I was the carpenter building it. But I didn't just want to expose them. No, I wanted them to feel the same suffocating helplessness they had forced on me, to watch the world they thought they controlled collapse around them in flames. And so, my plan began to form. It would be cruel, it would be flawless, and it would leave scars they could never heal from. Revenge doesn't begin with the explosion. It begins with silence, and silence was my weapon. Emily still thought she was fooling me. She came home with fake exhaustion, kissed me goodnight with lips that had kissed Ryan hours earlier, and pretended our life was normal. Ryan still slapped my back at the bar, called me brother, and laughed at inside jokes we had shared since childhood. They thought I was blind, but I was wide awake, sharpening my blade in the shadows. I didn't want confrontation. I wanted devastation. And devastation requires patience. The first step was to make them trust me even more. I suggested a weekend trip for all three of us, like the old days. Emily's eyes lit up nervously. Ryan hesitated before agreeing. We rented a cabin in the woods. Emily cooked, Ryan grilled. I played the cheerful host. But I watched them, their stolen glances, the subtle brush of hands when they thought I wasn't looking. I recorded it all with hidden cameras. Back home, I layered the evidence. Hotel receipts, videos, even a voice recording of Emily whispering, "I wish Lucas would just disappear so we could finally be free." Hearing those words nearly broke me, but I clenched my fists and reminded myself, pain is temporary. Revenge is forever. Next, I started working on Ryan. He trusted me blindly. Why wouldn't he? I had been his shield since we were kids. I convinced him to invest money in a fake business opportunity. He handed me thousands, thinking I was helping him secure a future. Little did he know the documents were fake, the accounts empty, and the paper trail led straight back to him. At the same time, I began freezing Emily out financially, quietly moving assets, shifting money, securing property deeds in my name. She thought she controlled the household, but by the time I was done, she wouldn't even control her toothbrush. But the masterpiece was the dinner party. I invited family, friends, everyone who mattered to us. Emily dressed beautifully. Ryan showed up polished, and I played the doting husband. After dinner, I tapped my glass and smiled. Tonight, I said, I want to share something special with all of you. The lights dimmed, the TV flickered on, and suddenly Emily's voice filled the room. I wish Lucas would just disappear. Followed by Ryan's laugh. Don't worry, baby, he'll never know. Gasps filled the room. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father's eyes burned with rage. Emily's face drained of color. Ryan froze. And then the video montage began. Hidden camera footage of their kisses, their hotel meetings, their whispered promises. Every detail. every betrayal, projected in front of everyone. Emily dropped her glass. It shattered against the floor. Ryan stammered, "Lucas, this isn't what it looks like." "Oh, it looks exactly like what it is," I said, my voice steady. Silence blanketed the room, heavy and suffocating. Emily sobbed, begging me to stop, but I didn't. I let the evidence play until there was no doubt, no escape. When it ended, I stood tall. "You wanted me gone," I said coldly, "but it's you who will disappear." And then I unveiled the final blow. Documents showing Ryan's fraudulent investments, bank records that painted him as a thief. Gasps turned into whispers, whispers into outrage. Ryan's parents disowned him on the spot. My family turned their backs. Emily collapsed into a chair, destroyed. But I wasn't done. The next morning, I filed for divorce with all the evidence in hand. Emily couldn't fight. She had nothing. I took the house, the accounts, even the car she loved. Ryan lost everything. His reputation, his family, his freedom when the police opened an investigation into the fraud. Yet even then, satisfaction didn't come instantly. Nights were long, haunted by memories of Emily's laugh, Ryan's betrayal. But each time doubt crept in, I remembered their faces when the truth exploded in front of everyone. That look of shock, humiliation, fear. That was my justice. Still, part of me knew this was only the beginning. Their suffering had started, but it hadn't yet reached its peak. And I promised myself I would be there to watch when the last pieces of their world collapsed. The divorce wasn't the end. It was only the opening act. Emily thought I'd eventually calm down, that maybe years later we'd find some kind of truce. Ryan believed he could rebuild, convince people fraud was a misunderstanding. They were wrong. My revenge wasn't about a moment. It was about a lifetime. I began with Ryan. Once adored as a charming friend, he was now branded a thief. But I wanted him broken, not just hated. Using contacts at the bank, I ensured every loan application he made was flagged. He tried to start small businesses, but each time his credit collapsed. Soon, he couldn't even rent an apartment in his name. He bounced from couch to couch, calling Emily for help. And Emily, sweet, deceitful Emily, was no longer the adored wife. She was a woman who cheated, the one who betrayed her vows with her husband's best friend. Friends stopped inviting her to gatherings. Even family avoided her out of shame. She applied for jobs, but whispers followed her everywhere. "That's the woman from that video." People murmured. No one trusted her. But I wasn't finished. One night, Ryan and Emily sat together at a dingy motel, arguing. Emily had pawned her jewelry to pay rent. Ryan was drunk, shouting at her. He didn't know I was watching from a distance, hidden in the shadows of the parking lot. Watching them unravel gave me more satisfaction than any courtroom ever could. The final blow came through the court. I had already secured custody of everything, but I pushed further, using the mountain of evidence. I filed restraining orders, ensuring they couldn't come near me or my family again. They became ghosts in their own city, alive but irrelevant. The last time I saw Emily, she was sitting on a bus stop bench, makeup smeared, hair messy, holding a plastic bag with clothes. She looked up, saw me walking past, and whispered, "Lucas, please." I'm sorry. I didn't stop. I didn't speak. I didn't even look at her twice. My silence was her answer. And Ryan? He ended up working odd jobs, his once cocky smile replaced with bitterness. He avoided my gaze whenever our paths crossed, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. People always ask me, did I feel guilty? Did I regret destroying them? The truth is simple. They destroyed themselves. I just held up the mirror. And when you betray someone who gave you everything, don't be surprised when that someone takes everything back, tenfold. I walked away with my dignity, my family's respect, and my future intact. They were left with nothing. That was my revenge. That was justice.